Good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started. We have 1 hour, and it goes by quickly. I want you to have time to ask some follow-up questions, should you have them. I am Christine Stamp. I am a high school principal. I'm entering into my 5th year here at ASD, and every year becomes better, and I feel more connected to the community. I see so many familiar faces, which makes me really excited and happy to continue to be here. And our relationship and our partnership is vital to the success of our students. And so this is an opportunity for us to sort of share what we do, how we do it, how we communicate, how we can help you to better stay connected at ASD. I'm also joined by our associate principals. Emily Terrio she mostly works with the students in grades 11 and 12, but she has responsibility for all the students as well. But one of the things that we try to do is to create smaller communities so that all the students are known. And one of the things that I feel most proud of is that when we're walking down the hallway, between the three of us, we always know the name of the student that we pass. And somebody's always saying hello with the name of the student. And I just think that's an amazing thing at a school our size, that the students are all known. And also Kent Mayland, he's in his 2nd year as the associate principal, and he works with the students mostly in grades 9 and 10, again, other responsibilities as well. So what we're hoping that you can gain from today by the time that you leave is that you can answer the question, how are we strengthening our high school core curriculum? That's one of our goals. That's part of the framework for the future as we're looking to continue to engage all. And what are some ways that we communicate learning? That happens in a lot of different ways. And sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming, but we want to share with you some of those portals that we use to help you to know more about what your child is learning, not just academically, but socially, in other areas of the school. And most importantly, if you don't feel like you belong, it's really difficult to learn. So how are we continuing to include all and making this a place where all students feel like it's their home and they belong? You will see our rosette around campus. It's just a conglomeration of our missions, values, and attributes. And this is the basis by which we create everything here at ASD. And so just a reminder that we have our mission, our values, and our attributes. And our values being a long-standing part of our community: compassion, excellence, integrity, respect, and responsibility. And we see this modeled every day with our students, and we reward them and compliment them and reinforce it when they are demonstrating these values and these attributes. So, you didn't know you were going to come for a test, did you? The first question is, in our framework for the future, we have 4 aspirations. What are they? You can tell me one. I actually just said one. Yes.
Include all?
Include all. Very good. That's one.
Engage all.
Engage all. Excellent.
Aspire.
Inspire all. Perfect. One more.
Compassion.
It is around compassion. Very good. Nurture all. Nurture all. And it's more about making sure that we are continue to be a financially sound organization that can maintain the same level of service and education that we provide. So well done. Collected knowledge is high in here. Thank you. So with Engage All, what is our promise and what is our aspiration? We want to continue to deliver those challenging, inspirational, and purposeful learning through our relevant and engaging pedagogy. And the areas of focus that we have is to continue to strengthen our core curriculum. And that might be, if you're not spending your time working in curriculum, that might not make a lot of sense to you. But what it really means is that we are an organization where we have graduation requirements for students, and that's important that you maintain those graduation requirements, right? In order to be accepted into universities, universities expect that students complete certain courses, right? That's just kind of the understanding that we have. So we continue to look at our course offerings. We look at what we have at the high end when we're looking at AP, and then we're looking at how do we align the learning, the skills, and the competencies in grades 9 and 10 and also in grades 8 so that we are best preparing students to be able to be the most successful in those higher level courses that they want to take in order to challenge themselves and work towards university acceptances. We're looking to continue to embed our attributes. The attributes are the way that we do things. If we go back to the slide, because I didn't actually, right, so we're looking, the attributes include communicators, being self-aware, resilience, empathetic, and innovative. Global citizens, thank you. So when we're looking at the attributes, how we're embedding it, it's important that we're not just thinking and focusing on the academics, but we're seeing with the goal of attaining knowledge, how are we also developing those global competencies of empathy? Because without empathy, it isn't going to matter too much how much you know, right? People aren't going to be successful without understanding the world around them, the needs of others, their own impact that their choices and their communication has on others. Feedback. This is something that we're focusing on in high school, and so we're working on ways not only to provide the feedback for the learning, which if you've been in high school, so just quickly, who is a new parent to high school, grade 9? Okay. So if you've been at ASD and you've been in the middle school, then you've been receiving feedback around learning. So we've made it a goal school-wide to make sure that you have a better understanding of what our descriptors mean. So we're not just saying 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. We're providing you specific feedback around what the standard was, how the student met the standard, or what they need to continue to do in order to demonstrate better understanding. So you will receive the same thing in high school on Power School when your teachers put in their summatives, not every summative, but at least 2 summatives per semester, you'll get a description about the child's learning and what it is that they have done that's well. We're also embracing that as a faculty where we're training and providing support for our heads of department and our grade level team leads so that they can provide feedback to their colleagues, right? So what research shows is that teachers are more likely to listen to a colleague and be able to implement that feedback easier than they are to be able to listen to a supervisor, because when it's a supervisor, then they feel a little bit stressed, and so it's difficult for them to actually implement the feedback. So by training the colleagues and making it more of a coaching situation, we're hoping that we can continue to increase our effectiveness and share those great strategies that we have collectively as a school. We continue to look at our Arabic language program and our Islamic education as we work towards being more compliant, but also just illustrating our integrity around where we are in our host country and making sure that we're respecting the culture within the Weaver side. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Another question. What were the total number of students enrolled in AP courses last year? Anybody want to guess?
612.
612, no. Close. It's 464. It's 464. So we have 720, around 720 students at ASD, and the total number of AP students was 464 last year. And so this is a school summary that we get every year from the College Board. And what you can see in this graph is you can see the total number of AP students, the total number of exams. So 464 students took 1,200 exams. And of the 464 students, 435 students had a 3 or better on all the exams that were taken. So if you look down at the bottom, this is really, I think, something to be incredibly proud of. And 2021 was an odd year, right? Because they were taking the exams. This was COVID, and they were taking the exams in the middle of the night, things like that. This is not the year that we need to compare things to, but we continue to grow and we continue to improve. So we're now at almost 94% of all of our AP students who took the exam have earned a passing score or better. And so that is really an accomplishment. That's really incredible. And it's a testament to the work that our AP teachers do, but not only our AP teachers, it's all of our teachers from elementary school on up. I mean, in high school, we're the biggest beneficiaries of what they do in elementary. And to me, that's actually the hardest job. We get to take them, to the next level, and we get to discuss ideas. We're not actually teaching how to do it right, which is something that we're so grateful for when they do come up. So rest assured that when students go, one of the things that we can attribute this to is that we make sure that students are prepared for the course that they're taking. So it can sometimes be a difficult conversation with students and parents when they want to take a class with which they don't have the prerequisites and they haven't demonstrated the skills for. And the reason that we work to find them the appropriate class is because we want them to be successful. And so we want them to be able to pass the AP exam. We want them to feel like they can engage in the class and not to feel overwhelmed and to feel a sense of doom and gloom about their future. And so sometimes those are conversations that we will have to have or have already had with some of you about their choices. We've had some updates to our curricular offerings for this year. We've added personal finance, and the reason we added this course is because it was super popular in GOA, so students can also take a GOA course, which is an online course. And this was the course that most students were taking. And also, we poll our students every year to say, what are the courses that you'd like to have at ASD that we don't currently offer? And we look at that, and if we can include those, then we make decisions to do that. If you're a ninth grade parent, we changed slightly our science programming to add an integrated science 9 in order to provide students with an opportunity to learn all 3 of the sciences, physics, biology, and chemistry, and then they can make their choices in terms of where they would like to go next with AP, if they'd like to take AP later on. And so it just helps them to get exposed to things that they might not otherwise get exposed to, and then we work really closely with developing their lab skills and their critical thinking skills and their lab writing and some of those things that are really important for them to master before they can move into AP. So they take the integrated science and then they take the regular chemistry, regular biology, regular physics before they decide whether they want to take an AP, if they want to take an AP. It's not required that they take an AP, but it's open to them. We are piloting, and I just realized the connection, piloting Propeller. So we're piloting Propeller this year. Who knows what Propeller is?
Isn't that the one that they were going to do on the F block?
Yay! Yes, you got
I
it.
heard about that.
Yes. So essentially, what's going to happen if you are 9th grade and in 10th grade, students are going to take the course Propeller, which will be in the F block, and it is an application course where they're going to be able to develop a project with another student, and then they're going to be working through eventually creating that project for a public purpose. So let's say they want to develop an app so that they can help support women in Dubai who need a ride or a taxi ride or something, and they want to make sure that they're safe. So they can develop some kind of an app. They'd be working with a mentor. They'd be working with the teacher who is adept at coding and creating things like this, and then they would start developing how they're going to roll this out. Hopefully they'd be working with somebody in our community who also has knowledge about that, so the parent community or beyond. ASD friends who like to support us in this process. So this will happen in grade 10, and this year we have a small group of students who are taking it so that we can learn more about how we can do it better, or what are the things that we don't quite know. And the next question, any questions about? Yes.
The Propeller program,
Yeah.
is that mandatory or is that
Yes.
an elective? So are 9th graders taking it right now?
In 10.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have ninth graders right now, they'll be taking it in 10th. And it's a semester, So it's sort of going to be opposite when their grade 10 PE is probably. So grade 10 PE one semester, Propel the other semester, so half and half their semester. Yes.
And the finance one?
Finance is a semester course. It's available only grade 10, 11, 12. So grade 9, right? Grade 9 can do
Yeah.
finance.
It is an elective.
It's an elective.
On average, how many APs do kids take per year, based on just ASD?
Probably 2. If we're thinking about an average, probably
Moving up.
probably 1 in grade 10, and then an average of probably 2 in 11 and 2 in 12. Like if we're talking about pure averages, right? Now there would be some students who take 4 and 5 in grades 11 and 12, but that's not the general rule. And every time we have any like university visits, they always tell us it's not about the number of EPs. So let's not try to put kids in a class that they're not really interested in. It's about their passion. It's about the quality with which they.
And then for integrated science, does that sort of, some schools have like you take all sciences. So does that hit the requirement for that? Or do you have to take individual?
You still have to take chem and or biology and or physics. There's 3 credits for science required. Yes.
So is Propeller mandatory?
Yes.
Okay, so all of our ninth graders they have to take Propeller
Yes.
this year?
But then our 10th graders aren't taking.
10th grade, it was made available as an option this year, and there aren't that many 10th graders who opted into it.
And I have another question for integrated sciences for ninth graders. So next year, they have to take just a regular science, right? They're not gonna be able to opt into an AP.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the change, because I have an 11th grader as well from.
Correct.
Okay.
But they could, if they were really a science student, they could take 2 sciences next year. They could take bio and chem if they wanted to. I'm not recommending it, but if they are really science oriented, and then they could take AP, a couple of issues and Juniors. Okay. Question 3, what's the name of the learning platform we use in the middle school? Not Power School. Schoology! Yay! Very good. So there are lots of ways that we communicate learning. One of them is through Schoology, where you can see the assignments and the course content. You should be able to see syllabus there. You should be able to see some of the course content that the teachers are rolling out. Power School is where you see attendance tardies, uniform, and assessment information, and also the aggregate grades that the students are currently earning in each of those classes. If you go to Google Calendar, you can see campus-wide and high school specific dates for events. And on the Connect page, you have newsletters, bulletins, course catalog, counseling information, and in Odoo is where you register or pay for the events or activities. So that's kind of just the grand overview of the different portals and their purpose for high school parents. This is just a screenshot of what you would see if you opened up a Schoology and the content that's available there. It varies depending on the teacher in the course, but it does give you some insight. Yes?
Some teachers opt not to include their syllabus and content on Schoology. I've seen a few blanks in my daughter's Schoology. Is that typical?
There should be a syllabus, and so if there isn't one, feel free to write to the teacher and say, I couldn't find the syllabus, could you please send it to me? And that's completely fine.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, and I feel like some teachers plan formatives and summatives and let kids know, and then some, there's nothing.
Okay.
It's better to just go and ask.
I would ask the teacher, but since you're communicating that to us, we'll also follow up to see what's happening there and to make sure that teachers know you guys are looking and you want to go. You want to be there to support, and it's important that we communicate what's expected of your child. Okay, so this is what you will see in Power School. If you open up Power School, you will see the assessments. Let's see, in this case, it's the writing summative, and the specific task or the specific standard that the student was meant to complete, and then what their grade is. And the comment. Okay. Is there, what, does anybody know what this means?
Doesn't,
There you go. Yes, very good. Evidence of learning is not calculated towards the final grade. Okay. You got this in advance. Okay, so these are the Google calendars that you'll find on the Connect page. You will see specific things to high school and also specific things to the school-wide calendar. And so it's helpful to go there if you're wondering when is UCC or what is UCC, right? You don't know what it is. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when is it is something important. When do we have the different NESAT competitions? You know, what can I expect? And you probably, I think, have had no choice but to use the Connect page to do certain things. And we all get a little bit frustrated because it doesn't seem to be completely intuitive, all the different platforms that we use, but it is, you know, if you can work through some of those frustrations, you're probably going to be able to figure out that you were logged in with a different email. You weren't logged in with your family email, and that's probably why you weren't able to see the things that you wanted to see. And the events. So if you're going to pay for certain events, if you're going to pay for High School Inspire or, you know, the Jazz Festival and Skills Workshop, you can go in and pay for them. Other channels and events that we regularly have in a school year, we have the Back to School Night, and this is Thursday, September 18th. And if you've been through it before, if you've been through middle school, quite similar. You walk around and see all of your kids' teachers. You have 10 minutes in each class and a 10-minute break, and the teachers will give you just a brief overview of the course and what is expected in that course. Obviously, it's not a time for individual conferences because we have those later in October and in March. So we have those parent-teacher-student conferences where you can pre-book time with the teachers. We have great community facilitators in every single grade, and they run those WhatsApp, they communicate things to you, they support you with the questions that you have, and they meet with us every month. And so we have a separate meeting with grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12 every month in which to discuss what's coming up and what are some things that we need to know. So feel free to use that community facilitator as a person that you address some questions to or some concerns to. Not too many concerns, remember they're volunteers. Right. So be gentle. Like we like to communicate all the different channels of communication that we have because the GCFs are not necessarily the person to say, hey, does my kid have PE today? Well, that happens for me because I have little kids in elementary. But I also know that I get a calendar from my kid's teacher in elementary, but I see that parents are still asking the GCF, do we have PE today? Right, so that's not kind of the purpose. It's more deep, it's more like strategic, and they do an amazing job, so we're really grateful for that. Of course, there's email, and it's our hope that you will try to resolve these conflicts or confusions at the lowest level. So if you have a concern about a teacher, talk to the teacher. Set up a time to talk to them in person. If things aren't working well over email, I discourage email if it's a pretty deep concern, right? If it's like, I think my child missed this homework assignment, can you help me understand? That's fine, but if it's, my child feels like he's not being included in the class, I wouldn't put that in an email. I would say, can I please have a meeting? Could we please talk about this because I have some concerns? It's just going to eliminate the confusion going further. Of course, again, anytime you need to meet with the teachers and counselors, associate principals, or the principal, feel free. Like, we're open, our door's open. You can contact Rasha Khan, who is our office coordinator, and she will find a time that we can meet. And these are our GCFs for this year in the different grades. So if you need to communicate with them, please let me know. Okay. Thank you, and I will hand over to Mr. Raymond. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Van. next, we'll be looking at some things, how we include all in ASD. And this is for students and kind of how students can be involved in activities and different organizations on campus. So go through it and kind of break down in different levels of how we involve and how we bring people together. First information is about our advisory program. And this is through grades 9 through 12. And we have advisory weekly on Mondays and during our kind of win time in the morning. And this time is used for many different things. Yesterday, actually, your students may have told you about they had a check-in, a personal one-on-one check-in with their advisor. Those happen throughout the year. There's also lessons, socio-emotional learning, or just general lessons that are going to help students be successful in high school. We do team building, so maybe we have advisories that pair together for a team building activity. Example of our 10th graders actually next Monday, so during advisory next week, we'll be playing a game. It's actually called Dodgeball Towers. Our 10th graders that are now 11th graders played last year at the end of the year during advisory. It was a great experience. Really brought that kind of team building idea together, and so this year we're starting it now, or having it early on in the school year to build that team camaraderie in advisory, and then we'll look to do a secondary activity later on in the school year. And we also have assemblies that are sometimes grade level directed, sometimes they're like 9th and 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade together, or whole school, and that's to give information, to celebrate groups, just all the different things we need to communicate to students. And our attributes, our teachers recognize attributes every month, and so at the end of each month, all of the attribute recognitions we have, we give it's called a flat founy, has the mascot on it, and it's the direct, what the teacher said about the student, how they were living up or how they were modeling the attributes at ASD, and when you give those to students get to get a treat with that. But the students really, so last year being my first year, it was amazing to see what our teachers and staff members wrote about our students, but also then to see how generally excited the students were to receive one. Sometimes the students would even be like, oh, I didn't even know I did this, but it stood out as being something that showed our attributes. So just other ways we build in part of the attributes to our learning. Another question? I did just say the answer. But what day of the week do we have advisory?
Monday.
Excellent. Monday morning. Yes, Monday. And then the rest of the week, Tuesday through Thursday, during that time where we have advisory on Monday. Thank you, Mr. Stereo. We have win time, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which stands for what I need, and that's your 9th grade students. Hopefully, they've already mentioned that to you. I know that last week was the first week that our 9th graders really had full win time. We had some direct learning sessions with members of our administration team the first 2 weeks of school. And so last week they had that time, and I heard many 9th graders already say, oh, I went to win, I went to talk to my science teacher, I went to talk to my math teacher, I got more help, and I already understand what win is. It's a great time for students to basically go to their teacher, ask direct questions that they have, get feedback on their learning, and just use the time well. So please encourage your students as well. It's not just for, sometimes students think, oh, I only need to go if I didn't do well on an assessment. That's actually too late for what the purpose of WIN is. WIN is to be used throughout the year, whether students are struggling or being successful. It's just a chance to ask that question to the teacher and to get feedback on a specific part of their learning that they haven't fully mastered yet. And so, again, just to be, that's when that time is. So advisory Monday, Tuesday through Thursday for WIN. And this, you can see the rest of our class schedule. Some community-wide events. We have our Fall Classic coming up on Thursday, October 9th. So that'll be a big event. UCC will be on Friday, November 28th. Today we actually have our club and organization fair during lunch, and so your students will be able to sign up for different things. They're learn about more of the events we have at school, and then you can see specialized items that we have, MESEC, and even performances throughout the year. Talk about that more.
What is Fall Winter Classics and UCC?
Great question. The Fall and Winter Classic, that is a game, and the Fall Classic, our volleyball teams play against DAA, and so the event starts during school, and so it's kind of like a pep rally kind of activity, and then DAA comes over, and both our boys and girls teams play volleyball, and then the Winter Classic, DAA comes back, and it's for soccer and for basketball. Our academic games team also will be performing at the Fall Classic. And so it's just it starts during the end of the school day and then continues after school. Oh, and UCC, yes. Here we go. Great question. Yes. What the acronym stands for. Very good. Competition. Yes. Very good. Ultimate class competition. So this is where each of our grades, 9, 10, 11, 12, basically are on a team together. They compete in different activities, games throughout the day, and then at the end, and points are allotted throughout that time. And at the end, winner is basically it's a way to bring everyone together, be on a team, and engage and include all, and to just have a fun day. Usually that had been the last day of school before winter vacation. With the calendar change, it moved up a few weeks this year. So those of you that have older students, you definitely have been known about this before, but it's a fun day. It happens on a Friday instead of instead of classes on that day. So I can talk about these things a lot later on, but just to highlight again, as I said, the organization and club fair is today, so your students will start to maybe talk about that and sign up going forward. And we have lots of things to be involved in, so please encourage your students to, whether they're already in sports or those kind of activities, but also to be involved in clubs and activities, organizations as well. Just it's helpful to be involved. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. Thank you. Yes, question.
I have a question about the clubs. Will it be updated later on the website what clubs will present at the fair today?
Yes, eventually. So I had noticed that needs some work, and so I'm currently working on that part on the Connect page. So thank you.
Great, so I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes about the structures we have in place, where we have a partnership with our counseling department, and what else we do to support students from that lens for social emotional learning. So hopefully you've seen our counselors around. A lot of you have relationships already with our counseling team. So our current counseling team, we have Mr. Beck, Ms. Tuesley, Ms. Harvey, Ms. Thompson, Mr. Menton, who all work with students from grades 10 to 12. And we have Ms. Herrera, who's our dedicated grade 9 counselor. So how the process works is all students have Ms. Herrera as a counselor. It's really helpful for them to have some consistency in the transition. She is very competent in developmental concerns and supports for grade 9 students. And then after that year, your child is assigned to one of our other 5 counselors who they will stay with for grade 10, 11, and 12. We also have Ms. Nancy Abouzid, who's our registrar and admin assistant in the counseling office. You are more than welcome at any time to reach out to her or just to drop into the counseling office and make an appointment. Our counselors work heavily with students, but they also work heavily with families too. So it's very common for families, if they have a concern or they want to share something with a counselor, to reach out and book a meeting with counselors as well. Again, our counseling structure. So not only do we have counselor assignments for grades, but we also have grade level programming. Our counselors work really closely with our grade level team leads. So for example, we have one counselor who works in partnership with the GLTL to plan all of the social emotional curriculum, and that takes place during both counseling sessions and advisory sessions. So a lot of the counseling sessions may take place on the Mondays during those time slots. They may also take place on other days during WIN time. depending on the needs of our students and what we determine students need from year to year. So how does our counseling model work? We're not just academic counselors, and we don't have counselors who are only specializing in college and career information, but basically each of the counselors works on all of these realms with students. So they support students with social emotional needs. So again, like I mentioned, students can book a meeting with their counselor either by going into the counseling office or on any email that the counselors send. At the bottom, there's a link that says book an appointment with me. So it's very easy for students to book appointments. They're not allowed to book appointments during class time. They can book appointments before or after school, during lunch or win, or during a study block if they have those. Obviously, if it's an emergency, counselors are available to support students at any time. But if students are being proactive and they want to book a meeting with their counselor, those are the times available for them. Academic planning is really important. Our counselors do a lot of work with students around course selection. We really front load the process. As Christine was saying, we want to make sure that students are selecting courses that have that balance between academic rigor, but also something that is accessible to the students and they're not going to be in over their heads. So counselors work really hard doing whole group presentations and also small group work with students to help them select courses that are academically appropriate and highlight students' passions and also where they want to go forward. Speaking of which, college and careers, we do a lot of work in grade 10 with students around career pathways and passions. And we also have something that we piloted last year with the grade 10 students during the mock exam week, which was some career sessions. So we're going to be working on developing those even more in depth this year and having a lot of work with our grade 10 students during that week on careers. Also really important in an international school that counselors work with students just on their identity as global citizens, on sometimes preparing them to leave this place where it's so international and go to places that aren't so international when they graduate high school, and how they're going to maintain their identity but also make new connections with students around the world. So a lot of what the counselors do is, again, they work with the GLTLs on these specific areas. In grade 9, really we focus a lot on transition and orientation to the high school. So Mr. Malin was talking a little bit about the orientation sessions that we do at the beginning of the year with grade 9s over the first 2 weeks of school. We also have grade 9 seminar, which is a program that we've been developing for the last couple of years, which takes place every second Tuesday for the first semester, where students go in their advisory groups and they have direct instruction during the WIN time on anything from executive functioning to organizational skills to learning about what today we have a WIN session that Mr. Malin's running before the organization fair, just to give the grade 9s information about what it means to join an organization or a club and what is available, so they know what kinds of questions to ask the student leaders at lunchtime today. In grade 10, we do focus a lot more on career pathways and college exploration. And counselors work closely with the students on a platform called Maya Learning, where they start to investigate what universities our students typically go to, what the needs might be for going to those universities, and the students can start recording some of the things that they've been involved in, which helps us to direct them to appropriate places that fit best with their passions and their experiences. In grade 11, the focus from counselors is mainly on post-secondary exploration and planning. We do have our kickoff with grade 11 students happening in October, on October 24th, where counselors will be meeting with all the grade 11 students and starting to talk about the application process and just helping relieve some of the anxiety that we know comes with that journey. And they work with them throughout the year. The counselors will work with students in their English classes to start writing their essays, and they'll be meeting with parents as well in the winter time to start to have those family meetings as well. In grade 12, again, the focus is on college applications first semester. Second semester, the focus really is on transitions. How do we help support students going off to university or taking a gap year or whatever else they're choosing to do? We know it's a big transition and we want to help support them. So our grade level team lead works closely with our grade 12 counselor, and we have a whole bunch of sessions during WIN time where students learn life skills and they get to meet with different speakers. They also get to leave their legacy behind here, and part of that is the relationship that they build with their grade 1 buddies, which we've just started. Hopefully some of you were at the opening ceremony. You got to see our grade 12s walking with their buddies. They've already met with them a couple of times, and there are different projects that they're going to work on with their grade 1 buddies throughout the year. So it's a really special time for our seniors to reflect back on how far they've come. And again, just a couple more topics that our counselors work on with students. And these are in a variety of ways: in presentations, in the theater, in small groups where some of the advisories come together, and also one-on-one with students. Students, again, are more than welcome to reach out to us anytime or to their counselor anytime for support in these areas. What do you think? Were you paying attention? Does ASD have a dedicated grade 9 counselor? Yes, okay, well done. Okay, we have the 3 questions to see how well you were listening. We don't have paper, so feel free to just raise your hand if you think you know the answers to any of these questions. One way we're strengthening the ASD core curriculum, and those were shared at the beginning by Ms. Stamp. Any ideas? What was that?
Culture of feedback.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, culture of feedback. Remember what else was highlighted on that slide? Around aligning curriculum was another one. 2 ways we communicate learning at ASD. What are some of those platforms that we use? Schoology and PowerSchool, yeah. And we really encourage you, the function of the comments that Ms. Stanley was talking about. That's something that we introduced last year. It's a really great way for you to get more information about your child's learning. When you go there, if you see that comment sign in purple, you can click on it, and it will just give more detailed feedback from the teacher. So it's really helpful for you in your conversations with your child about their learning. 3 ways that we include all at ASD. Some of the things that Mr. Malin was talking about. Remember what's happening today? Yeah, the club is an organization fair, and we have over 30 clubs and organizations that students can join. And UCC, yeah, UCC is the most fun day of the year. So don't plan any trips on that day, please. Your child will not be happy.
I have a question regarding the counseling. So a student can have, I'm talking grade 10, 11, 12, a specific counselor, and then also meet with the grade level counselor?
So we have,
There was a grade level.
the grade level counselor really is for planning purposes and creating the culture for the grade. So if your counselor in grade 10 to 12 is Mr. Beck, but you're in grade 10 and Ms. Harvey is the grade 10 counselor, she's not working with Mr. Beck's students, she's just working with the grade level team lead for advisory to do the planning for that grade. Yeah. So if your child's counselor, whoever your child's counselor is assigned to them from grade 10 to 12, that's who they meet with. Great question. Any other questions about counseling or anything else?
So each counselor has how many students to take care of? Let's say in grade 11 or 12.
About 150, 180?
So how personalized?
150,
So,
yeah.
so each counselor has 150. So how personalized and what is the quality of the counseling that we can expect?
It's very high level. In grade 10, when the students are assigned their new counselor, they meet with their counselor at the beginning of the year in small groups, and the opportunity is there for them to meet with their counselor anytime they would like, but it's more student initiated in grade 10. In grade 11 and 12, at minimum, every student has to meet for an hour-long meeting with the counselor around college preparation. And you know how it is with teenagers, sometimes teenagers need an in to talk about other things. So oftentimes other concerns may come up at those meetings, and it's a way for counselors to probe a little bit more and go deeper with students around some issues that they may be facing, or just help them, support them in different ways. So our counselors are very busy, but they're also very available. So again, if you feel that you need to reach out to your counselor, you will be able to meet with them. And if your student feels that way too, they're very available. And again, they know all their students very well. if you have ever seen our graduation, our counselors are up there talking about each student, giving a quote when they're graduating, and each student is very connected to their counselor.
And remember, it's the programming, it's not one-on-one that makes us very comprehensive. It's all the programming that we provide. So the counselors, the advisories are divided by counselors. So if the counselor's like, I really need to check in with my students, I want to see them all today, they can drop by the advisory and say, hey, how's everything going? It's great to see you. I want to do such and such. I'm going to have this new thing happening in the counseling office, so come by and see me. So we have the structures in place really make it possible for our efforts to be very collective in the sense that everybody understands what we're doing. So we're not relying on the meetings that happen one-on-one. That's kind of the personalized piece, but the entire process is very personalized for them.
And what if there is a social emotional challenge where a child does need some one-on-one? Is there a referral program?
Yes.
Do you have others? I mean, is it a pretty easy process to find somebody here in Dubai?
It's very easy. All the therapists in Dubai speak English, or many of them do. So there's an extensive group of medical professionals, mental health professionals that operate in English, and we have great relationships with several different clinics. Other questions? All right. Well, you have 15 minutes to enjoy your coffee and to talk with somebody that you might not know already at this meeting. Thank you very much. We'll be here for additional questions if you have some.